This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. I believe many of us don't do this, but take ownership of you, your skills, your abilities, who you are. Sometimes we just kind of put that to the side, but that's what makes us unique. And those are the things that on a regular basis we should be proud of. Own your damn self. That's what we're talking about today. And she gives us so much insight as a life coach at strategic development, life coaching. She is Cindy Valente. She's back with us. How are you doing today?
I am great. Good afternoon. How are you?
Fantastic. Do you feel that many of us don't own it?
100%. That's why I decided to dive into this topic today.
I'm thankful you have. And I'm thinking, and this is what we do, and this is what you do. You present things, and then it challenges us to think about it and apply it to our lives. Everybody is different, but I can tell you, until I really started figuring out who I am and being on a journey of self-discovery and bettering myself through many different modalities, and I really mean this with love, speaking with people like yourself,
Thank
learning
you.
things like this, I started owning things that, and good or bad, that,
True.
as opposed to just going through life robotic and, rinse and repeat, eat, sleep, go to work and all of that. Really, being in the moment and looking at those things that we do that we should be proud of, i.e. own, and also the things that maybe we're not so proud of, we got to own those too. That's all part of who we are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's owning us. So should we dive in?
Please.
So at some point, most of us didn't lose our power. We handed it away, not in big dramatic moments, but in small, everyday ones. By over-explaining ourselves, second guessing, saying yes when we meant no, asking for permission instead of trusting ourselves. Owning your damn self doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you stop giving your power away in places where it never belonged. So let's talk today about the do's and the don'ts.
I can fully relate to this because it was about months ago, somewhere on there. I started looking at what is stealing my power. What are those things? Things, people, all of that. When even just that one part right there, when you start thinking about that, it's pretty powerful. When you realize what you're giving your attention to, your time to, or what you're allowing to
Mm-hmm.
be taken from you.
Right.
Pretty big.
So what does owning yourself actually mean? Are we talking about control, white knuckling your life so nothing goes wrong? Or are we talking about responsibility, standing in your life even when it's messy? Most people think owning yourself means being in control, and that misunderstanding is why we are often so exhausted. So, if control were strength, life would knock us flat. But we don't control people, timing, outcomes, or emotional impact. Control is fear. I know, Steve, we talk about that a lot. Control is fear pretending to be strength. Responsibility isn't self-blame, it's responding to reality. So, what I'm saying is, self-blame is, I caused this. Responsibility is, this is mine to respond to. You didn't cause the betrayal, you didn't cause the loss or the trauma, but it is your responsibility to decide who you become next. Responsibility is power without cruelty.
Mm.
That takes on a lot of meaning in there, but it's important to understand the ownership of it, and it can feel daunting, overwhelming, but it really isn't if we just kind of step back and say to ourselves, do I want to own this, or do I want to let my outside influences control me? That's a decision. I mean, we all have the decision all the time.
Would you say one of the most important things that we can do is to have that true realization that you
Mhm.
can't control what you can't control. So many, I think we
Exactly.
get lost in the shuffle of that kind of stuff.
Well, because we all like, I mean, I think for most of us, we like to be in control. So we have to let some of that go and realize there's only so much we can do. And because we don't, do we want our lives to be exhausted because we're trying to do everything ourselves, or are we taking our own personal responsibility for this is how it is, this is how I choose to behave or act or respond, and that's where my power comes from.
Mm. So if you want to better own who you are, what are some of the steps that we can take?
All right, there's lots.
Mm.
So, signs you're owning your damn self. You trust your first instinct, which is a
Mm.
big deal. You
You know
make
what?
this.
Let's just
Yeah,
focus on that for a
yeah,
moment.
I like
Trust
that.
your first instinct.
Hmm. Hmm.
Many of us don't. And then for what's your first instinct? That is your gut feeling. That is your intuition. The first thing you get, I feel, is usually the answer. But many times I can't, no, that's too easy. That can't be, nah, that can't be right. Now,
Hmm.
so what do? You think about it, you marinate, you logic comes in, and then you pick the other choice because you think life has to be, you have to work for it.
Hmm.
So you pick that other choice and it's usually not the right one. So trust your first instinct. It's a cliche, but when you start dealing and realizing it, it's true.
But and think about it too. When you go back to you had an instinct, you didn't choose it, and you went a different direction, and you come back with regret. Why didn't I trust my first instinct?
Hmm. Yeah.
And we have to
Uh,
be confident enough in ourselves to know that that is okay to feel that way, and it's okay to be right to yourself on the first response. It doesn't mean we're wrong just because we're saying it right away.
you know, if you're at the very least aware of it,
Hmm.
then you're 50% ahead of the game.
Right.
And I do this a lot on the first instinct, or I call them visualizations. If I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to do something, show up somewhere, I'll visualize what it's going to be like. What are people going to be wearing? What are they going to be talking about? What's the vibe going to be? And I went to something Friday night, like a birthday celebration for a friend of a friend. Yeah, I know them, but I don't really know them well. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not being negative here, but it was just like, yeah, I got a feeling what's going to be. It was at a venue and such, and just what I visualized, exactly what it was. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I here? I didn't need to be here. This is not. I want to say this is not what I thought it was going to be. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I was just like, yeah, all right. But I already saw it, and I had no evidence to even go there with that. And how funny now I think about it. I went somewhere Saturday. It was another birthday celebration. It was at a big venue. It was kind of weird. Like it wasn't me, but I knew I visualized it and it was right. I'm not looking for it to be right, but that's what it was. And I'm understanding now that that is kind of I'm developing a skill here. I think that
Yes.
seeing what's at, and it could be a business meeting, a networking event where you want to be prepared. If you visualize what it's going to be and think about it, weirdly, I find a lot of time it's like that. So it's almost as if you've been there, so you feel more comfortable when you show up. But that's your first instinct. Go with the first thing that comes
Right.
up.
Well, wasn't that fun at the end of the night? You're like, I already knew this was all going to happen. So it almost simplified the whole evening instead of the unknown.
And the second one, and love the people there and everything, but it just was a little not my thing. Um, and I had somewhere else to go anyway, so I cut that one a little short. Um, I showed up, thought it was kind of what I thought it was going to be like, and I didn't want it to be, but it was. Part of me, this is a side note, and it's a slight digression. Part of me wonders, did I manifest this, and I meant it to go that way? I don't know. Got to factor that out. But again, your first instinct, trust
Mhm.
it. Oh,
Right.
excuse me, own it,
There you go.
own
Like
it.
it. Yep.
Mm,
True. True that. Making decisions without approval.
mm, mm.
Love that. Say no without over explaining.
Yep. Oh, just had that conversation with somebody. No is a complete sentence. And
Yes.
isn't it, it sounds weird when you think it, but when somebody says it to you, when they say, if you say, hey, Saturday, Cindy, Saturday, can you help me move? I got a lot going on. I really need help. To hear somebody else say, no, I'm sorry, I really can't, period.
Hmm.
Hearing it is perfectly fine. All right, well, I'll ask somebody else.
Right.
If you're delivering it, no, I really can't because I have this going on and that. You don't have to. Just leave it, put the period at the end and move on.
I
Own it.
find
Own it.
I find sometimes that if somebody starts over explaining, they're often not being honest because they're just making excuses. And so if they just say, no, I can't. And most
Mm,
people, great, tell me you can't attend or whatever, that's fine. But don't go into a dialogue of what isn't true because it doesn't matter to me. You can't go, it's okay. It's fine. And I find
mm.
that there's a lot of dishonesty in over talking.
I had this conversation with somebody like earlier today. I'm serious about giving those excuses.
Mm.
And it seems like a lot of that goes back to your childhood where you might not have been heard. So you want to make sure that you're heard. So that's why you add those extra words, but you really don't need to.
That's so true. I hear that a lot. No is a complete sentence, but and a lot of people say it. I do too. But do we live it? Do we know that it's okay to say no and then stop talking? Pause, that power of the pause. Go back.
Mm.
And then it completes the sentence. It's done. I love that. I mean, I use it and it works, but it's hard to stop.
Oh, it really is because it sounds awkward. But
Mhm.
if somebody else says it to you, it's perfectly fine. There's your evidence. It's
Right.
not like you're sitting there, well, why not? No, they said no, and that's the way it is. And I've I had a friend that wanted to do a podcast on a certain topic. He's like, yeah, you got a studio? Yeah, come in there, we'll do it. It'll be great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was nothing that I align with. So I said, no, no, that just doesn't work. I can't do it. And he kept pushing me, and I got to the point, no, I'm not doing it. That's it. Period. Can't
Uh,
stop. That's
I
it.
know.
I know. Listen clearly. Do you
Right.
understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? It's one word. It's got two letters. No.
Well, we all need to take responsibility without shaming ourselves.
Mm.
And that goes back to the no. Don't second guess yourself. Don't shame yourself because it's a no.
You know, there's truth in that, and we feel uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy to do because
Mm.
it's such a um it's common. It's been going on for years where we don't want to take responsibility because we fear the unknown. But just do it without shaming. Just say no, take responsibility for yourself, for your answers, for your actions.
Mm.
No shaming yourself. We do that too much anyway. And I think, giving ourselves grace is so much better, much easier.
Well, it's also been said too
Mm.
that the lowest energetic vibration, and scientifically proven, everything is energy. We are energy. We vibrate energy. One of the lowest vibrations is it's not sadness, it's shame.
Hmm.
Horrible.
Right.
Got to raise up above that. Not good.
Right. That's
Mm.
our goal today.
Yes.
So course correct instead of quitting.
Mm-hmm. That one's uncomfortable, but yeah, you're right.
It is uncomfortable because it's easy to go in multiple different directions and then just saying, I give up, forget it, it's done, it's not going to work. But course correction is a way to go into a very positive direction. And quitting is leads to guilt, it leads to all many other
Mm.
things when you could just change your path, change your course, change your mental mind, change your mindset.
Do you
It
think
applies to many things.
you feel it's impactful in those situations where it doesn't feel right, but course correct on your terms?
Yes.
You're making
Yes.
that course correction.
Mhm.
You got to make sure you're not bending because of somebody else. It's got to be on your terms as opposed to quitting.
Right.
Don't,
Right.
unless you need to, you don't want to quit because as you just said, there's lots that presents guilt, shame, and so
Right.
much
Right.
more. But make sure it's on your terms.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's a good one. Choose growth over comfort. I know we've talked about this before.
Yep.
Comfort is stagnation. Growth is uncomfortable, but choose it anyway, because that's a sign that, a lot of things that, I mean, a diamond in the rough. A diamond looks very different in the rough than it does after, when it's going through its growth. It goes through a lot of things, and then suddenly this diamond shows up. And um, don't be too comfortable.
Mm. Embrace the discomfort.
Yep.
And there's pride that comes from that once you do it.
Hmm.
You don't
Oh,
see it,
absolutely.
at that moment. And like for me on the medical front, like I was never, I couldn't even do blood tests, like up until about a year and a half ago. And then I had some, health challenges, skin cancer, surgeries, whatever. I have like 100 stitches in the last, it's not even a year in different, spots. And then if you went back, 5 years ago, I'd be like, now it's going to sound crazy. Kind of like it where in this way where I want to see what it's going to feel like, when they numb you up and then they do it and then you heal and all of that. And it's like, hey, dude, you pull that off. I don't have tats, but I got scars and those are my tattoos. And I embrace that. And I'm proud of that. I went through that and I got it done and we're moving on. Everything's great now. Um, but that was, there was discomfort there and
Right.
getting over that. And now, somebody close to me got diagnosed with
Uh,
something I just had stitches for a month ago, 40 in fact, and now I'm supporting him. And
oh,
he's
cool.
what I was like. Oh, I can't believe I like it. You got this, dude. Stare at a thumbtack on the wall. It'll pinch for a second.
Right.
You'll feel some tugging when they sew you up, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Trust me. Been there, done that. But if after a while, when you embrace the discomfort, when you in the rear view,
Right.
if it feels good in a pride way, like you pulled it off, you did it. You didn't think you could,
True.
and it keeps building your resilience for what comes next. Because there's always going to be something else coming your way, no matter what it is.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Honor what you want, even if it scares you.
Hmm. Embrace discomfort. Does that come into play in that one too?
I think so.
I think so.
And I think it simplifies it. And we always have things that scare us, but honor it, own it, accept it, and move on. So, we don't need to get in the fear, the scare. We all have things that scare us. It's just how we handle it and how we take responsibility for it and owning it. Goes back to that. It's that simple. It's not complicated. It's just taking the time to understand what it is that's going on and what you're going to do about it. And that's taking complete ownership.
Mm. When you say complete ownership, give us an example. Taking ownership of something. What do you think it might be?
I think owning who you are every day, owning your attitude, owning your intention, owning your integrity. I think there's a lot that goes into that. And it's never ending. I mean, there's so much ownership we can all take for ourselves. But I think if what taking ownership to me is finding my best self. My ownership is being my best self, whatever that looks like to me, and not matter, doesn't matter what somebody else thinks or feels. It's my own ownership of what I'm doing, feeling, acting.
I just got a picture here of something that when you own as much as possible, and you can,
Mhm, mhm.
you are really being authentic.
Yes, true
Wow.
to
There's
yourself.
there just the magic was revealed. Seriously. And we
Yeah.
always talk about, looking for somebody authentic. I want an authentic relationship. Still looking. All of these things, or you want to be you want to show up your authentic self. If you can own everything, you are being authentic.
And think how simple that is.
Why didn't I ever think of it before?
And be truthful and true to yourself. Be truthful. And that's where that all comes into play. What you say has to be truthful.
Well, I look at the side of it where you can think you're being authentic, but if you're not fully owning up to everything, and you have to be truthful to own it.
That's right.
Once you've got all that in place, you're you. You are the real you. And let's face it, can you own everything? There's probably some things floating out there that you really don't own or you don't really want to because they're really not, telling a little white lie here and there. And
Right,
that's not really me, but I feel like I need to do that. Then you're not really being you because you're not owning it. Not truly
right,
owning it.
right.
Hmm.
So your reclaiming power starts with one shift. Stop asking yourself who you're allowed to be. Say to yourself, what if you trusted yourself just 10% more?
Hmm.
What if your first answer was enough? And let that be where you begin.
Hmm. Do you feel much of this comes down to trusting yourself?
Yes, yes. And
Hmm.
not waiting, stop waiting for the right time. It's
Well,
now.
yeah. How do they say that? When, if, will be. I will do this if that.
Right,
I can't be a better person until I get a better job.
right,
Everything is dependent on something else. That doesn't work.
right.
That doesn't
True.
work.
It doesn't. I mean, it makes it much more, your life becomes more complicated when
Hmm.
it doesn't need to be. I mean, I've said a few times, life is very simple. We complicate it.
Yeah. Well, you think about if somebody says, yeah, I'd be a better person if I had a different job. Maybe
Right,
that's true. I'm not saying it's not,
right,
but then what you just said, you need to embrace the discomfort and find another job
right,
so
right.
you
That's where your
can.
growth comes.
That's
That's
where your
where
growth
growth
comes.
begins. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's easy. That's painful. It can be,
True.
you know, embracing that discomfort. So there are things that need to be said that you can't say, don't want to say. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
But sometimes you need to, whatever the situation may be. Um, Great talk today. I just had an epiphany. When you own it, you are you. I mean, if
Yes.
you own everything,
Right.
how can you not be you?
If you're being honest with yourself, yes,
Right, right.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Ah, good stuff. How do we find you? How do we connect? Somebody wants somebody to walk the journey with them. They're having challenges in any of this, embracing discomfort, resilience, owning it. How do we find you?
Well, first of all, thank you for this great conversation today. I always enjoy talking with you.
Thank you.
And I can be found at cindyvalente.com and CindyValente.com. And my social media links are attached.
I appreciate you and what you do and the awareness you bring us. And when you threw this out there, own your damn self, I was like, all right, it's a good conversation. Yeah, I got an idea of where we're going to go with this. I had no idea where we were going to wind up. But a lot of this is the secret to being happy. How do you be happy? You got to be you. How do you be you? You got to own it. That's where it comes from.
You have to
Uh,
own it.
Thank you so much. We'll talk next week. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great
Appreciate it.
afternoon.
You too.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.